commuting by bike is far from new, but recent technological advancements have transformed what was once a stagnant sector of the cycling industry into something fresh, exciting, and you could even say electrifying. But the sheer amount of urban e-bikes on the market can make it pretty difficult to choose which one is best for you. So in this video, we've chosen our favorite bike across 5 different categories: versatility, cargo, lightweight, drop bar, and budget friendly. But before we get started, take a second to subscribe to the 99 Spokes YouTube channel, where we upload a new video every Friday. Now, on to our first winner, which is going to be awarded the best do-it-all urban e-bike. And the winner here is the Specialized Vado 4.0. This bike costs $4,000 and weighs 58.2 pounds or 26.4 kilograms. And while that does make it the heaviest conventional bike on our list, it's also the most feature-packed. And we're gonna get into those features in just a second here, but let's start by talking about the frame. The frame is available with either a traditional high top tube design or a low slung step through. The bike comes in sizes small through extra large and features upright geometry with a 68-degree head tube angle, 75.5-degree seat tube angle, and a very high stack of 652 millimeters on the size large. That same size large also has a reach of 464 millimeters, making it plenty stable even for novice riders. Moving on to the electrical components, and it's here that the Turbo Vado 4.0 really starts to shine. It features specialized 2.0 250 watt mid-drive motor that is capable of delivering up to 70 Newton meters of torque. As a Class 3 e-bike, that motor will provide assistance all the way up to 28 miles per hour, making it a great choice for riders with longer commutes. Speaking of long commutes, the Vado's 710 watt-hour battery is the largest of any on our list and is capable of a claimed range of up to 90 miles. The E-System is controlled by a remote on the left side of the bars and displayed in detail on the stem-mounted monitor. But this powerful motor and large battery is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Vado's versatility. It also features an 80mm coil-sprung SR Suntour fork. And while this adds weight to the bike, it greatly opens up the amount of terrain that the bike can handle, as do the 650B by 2.3-inch tires. Next, the Vado comes with a 40mm suspension seat post that should all but eliminate road vibration and take the edge off of those harsher hits. Like many of the bikes on today's list, Specialized has cleanly integrated lights into the included fenders and rack. Both lights are wired directly to the bike's battery, so you never have to worry about charging or swapping extra batteries. Rounding out the spec is an 11-speed Shimano drivetrain with an 11 to 42 tooth cassette. These are paired with SRAM-level hydraulic disc brakes. At the end of the day, the Specialized Turbo Vado 4.0 ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people, making it an extremely versatile bike. The robust power delivery system, dialed spec, and reasonable price are all reasons why I'm going to have to give the Turbo Vado 4.0 4.5 out of 5 stars. My only real complaint is the bike's hefty weight of nearly 60 pounds, which of course is a trade-off for all the cool features and large battery that the bike has, but it will make it relatively difficult for smaller riders to manhandle this bike around. And of course, if you are regularly having to move your bike in and out of a rack, this might not be the best option for you. Now though, let's move on to our second category of bikes, and that is the best cargo urban e-bike, which is going to the Yuba Spicy Curry Class 1, which lists for $4,999 and weighs 60.2 pounds or 27.3 kilograms. The bike is rated for a very impressive 440 pounds of cargo or up to 2 additional passengers on its 950mm long rear rack. The bike is built around a 26-inch wheel in the front to aid in rolling over rough terrain and a 20-inch wheel in the back to keep the center of gravity low. It's also only available in one size, but Yuba claims it can fit riders ranging from 5'1" to 6'4". Moving on then to the E-System, and the Spicy Curry comes with a 250 watt Bosch Cargo Line mid-drive motor. This cargo-specific motor offers an impressive 85 Newton meters of torque, which is critical when considering the hefty load the bike is designed to haul. The motor is paired with a 500 watt-hour battery that sits on top of the down tube and provides a claimed range of up to 70 miles. The system is controlled by what's arguably one of the best units on the market, the Bosch Kiox. This full-color monitor is by far the most sophisticated display on today's list and is capable of displaying maps, tracking fitness data, and of course, monitoring the bike's various parameters at any given moment. Transferring the power to the pedals is a Shimano 10-speed drivetrain with a 10 to 32 tooth cassette. This is paired with some Magura MT32 hydraulic brakes with an especially powerful 4-piston caliper in the front. The Spicy Curry also comes with integrated fenders and lights, but in this case, the rear light actually serves as a brake light, activating whenever the brakes are engaged. It also has a super clever twin kickstand that can be deployed with the flip of a lever on the front of the bike. Lastly, it's worth noting that Yuba sells a variety of cargo-specific accessories, allowing you to customize your bike for your specific needs. And it's for this design, as well as the class-leading Bosch motor, that I'm gonna have to give the Spicy Curry 4 out of 5 goats. My only real complaint comes down to the price, which at almost $5,000 is nearly double that of most of its competitors. But if you're looking for the ultimate feature-filled e-cargo bike, then the Yuba Spicy Curry is gonna be hard to beat. Now, the winner of our next category, which is the best lightweight urban e-bike, also happens to be my favorite bike on today's list. And speaking of favorites, if you are liking this video so far, you can go ahead and let us know by hitting that like button down below. Now, on to the winner of said category, and that's going to the Le Mans Prologue. This super sleek, race-inspired e-bike lists for $5,595 and weighs just 26 pounds or 11.8 kilograms. If the name Le Mans sounds familiar to you, that's because the company's owner, Greg LeMond, was the first American to ever win the Tour de France. This absurdly low weight of his design comes largely to the fact that the bike is almost entirely built out of carbon fiber. The frame, fork, seat post, bar stem combo, and even the fenders are all made out of carbon fiber. This not only saves weight, but leads to an exquisite looking bike that most definitely speaks to Le Mans racing history. And speaking of racing, the Prologue has some pretty racing geometry for a commuter, with a steep 71-degree head tube angle, 73-degree seat tube angle, a stack of 635mm on the size large, and a reach of 420mm on that same size. That, combined with some 445mm chainstays, gives the size large a wheelbase of 1100mm, which should make the bike feel plenty agile when winding through the city. This Class 1 e-bike is built around a 250-watt Mahle M1 hub drive motor that puts out a maximum of 40 Nm of torque. And while hub drive motors may not be the most sophisticated option on the market these days, it definitely leads to that ultra-refined, sleek look that the Prologue has. And speaking of sleek, it's got a 250 watt-hour battery that is stored in the down tube and is not removable. Le Mans claims that this gives the Prologue a range of up to 46 miles, but can be extended by way of an additional 250 watt-hour range extender that fits into a standard bottle cage. Moving on then to the rest of the components, and thankfully the Le Mans Prologue didn't cut any corners here either. For starters, the bike comes with Shimano's GRX 800 drivetrain with an 11 to 40 tooth cassette. The bike also comes with Shimano's RS 405 hydraulic disc brakes, 38mm Panaracer Gravel King slick tires, and an in-house one-piece bar stem combo. Sadly, the cockpit length is not adjustable, and every size is going to come with the same 100mm stem, but the bar width does change by 20 to 30mm as you go from size to size. And something I really do like about said bar stem combo is the integrated light in that stem. This, as well as the similarly integrated taillight on the seat stays, have got to be some of the cleanest takes on onboard lighting I've ever seen. Once again, speaking to the passion and craftsmanship that went into this bike. All in all, the Le Mans Prologue is a breath of fresh air in what can otherwise be a not so beautiful, slightly unrefined world of urban e-bikes. There really aren't many other companies making bikes like the Prologue, and while it's relatively expensive, we still think that that super lightweight, well-designed frame paired with a pretty decent part spec is deserving of a perfect 5 out of 5 goats. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this also happens to be my favorite bike on our list today. Just seems like it would be a ton of fun zipping through the streets on my commute to work. And if you like the racy looks and geometry of the Le Mans Prologue, then you're gonna love our next category, which is the best drop bar urban e-bike. And the winner here is the Santa Cruz Skitch Apex, which weighs 30.1 pounds or 16.6 kilograms, and at $6,299 is the most expensive of any on our list. For that, you're going to get a full carbon fiber frame and fork, as well as a very gravel bike inspired geometry. The Skitch has a 69-degree head tube angle, 74-degree seat tube angle, and the size large has a reach of 420 millimeters and a stack of 596 millimeters. This bike also features some super short 430 millimeter chainstays, putting the wheelbase on a size large at a sprightly 1092 millimeters. The Skitch is a Class 3 e-bike powered by one of the most discreet e-bike motors on the market today, the Faza Ride 60. As the name implies, the motor delivers a maximum of 60 Newton meters of assistance and is paired to a 430 watt-hour battery hidden in the down tube that gives the bike a claimed 60-mile range. Similar to the Prologue, the system is controlled by a sleek button on the top of the top tube that displays the current mode and battery life. Moving on then to the non-electrical components, and it's here that the Skitch really stands out from the other bikes on this list, and it becomes clear that this bike was designed and spec'd by a group of passionate cyclists. Starting with the drivetrain, it's going to have a 12-speed SRAM Apex drivetrain with a 10 to 52 tooth GX cassette. It also has SRAM's Apex hydraulic disc brakes, some Dial DT Swiss 370 hubs laced to WTB rims, and some 700 by 45C Schwabe G1 Overland Evo tires, though the frame and fork have clearance for up to 50 mil tires. Lastly, as the category would suggest, the Skitch that we've chosen for this list comes with some alloy zip drop bars, but the bike is offered with flat bars if that's more your style. All in all, the Skitch fills a very unique niche in the urban e-bike market. But if you're looking for the sportiest way to get around town, then it's pretty hard to beat. And for that reason, we're going to give it 4 out of 5 goats. Santa Cruz claimed that they built the Skitch to be the type of bike they would want to ride. And this really does show through with the sleek, minimalist frame design and high quality part spec. That said though, the high price is going to be a hard pill for a lot of riders to swallow. Moving on then from our most expensive bike on the list to our cheapest, and that's going to be the Co-op City E1.1, which is the winner for the best budget urban e-bike. The City E1.1 lists for just $1,299 and tips the scale at a surprisingly lightweight 48 pounds or 21.8 kilograms. This bike is sold exclusively through the outdoor retail store REI, which should make it pretty easy to get your hands on if you live in the US, but near impossible if you live anywhere else. The City E1.1's frame has a 70-degree head tube angle, 73-degree seat tube angle, and is available in 3 sizes. The size large has a very short reach of just 390 millimeters and a stack height of 604 millimeters, giving the bike the most relaxed and upright riding position of any on our list. That is paired with some 450 millimeter long chainstays that, in total, give the size large a wheelbase of 1079 millimeters. While this is still a far cry from the micro e-bikes that have kind of been on trend lately, it's still going to make it a good bit easier to move around than a more portly bike like that Specialized Vado we talked about earlier. Powering the Co-op City E1.1 is a 250 watt Bafang hub drive motor that's capable of producing up to 45 Newton meters of torque. This is hooked to a 450 watt-hour battery located on top of the down tube that gives the bike a claimed range of just 40 miles, the shortest of any on our list. The Class 1 E system has an impressive and arguably redundant 5 pedal assist modes plus 1 walk mode, and is controlled and monitored by bar-mounted units. Despite its low price, the City E1.1 has an adequate part spec, highlighted by the inclusion of a pair of Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, a feature not found on many other e-bikes at this price. It also has a 7-speed Shimano Altus drivetrain with a 14 to 34 tooth cassette. This limited gear range will be especially noticeable for riders living in hillier areas. The bike also has an integrated front light that does run off of the bike's battery, as well as a seat post mounted light that takes traditional standard household batteries. Lastly, the bike doesn't include any racks or fenders, but the frame does feature braze-ons if you choose to buy your own down the road. Another thing worth mentioning is that if you do buy this bike from REI, it's going to come with 1 year worth of free tune-ups. And that's especially noteworthy when you compare it to the notoriously poor customer service that comes from these low-budget mail-order e-bikes that the Co-op E1.1 is probably going to be competing against. In total, the Co-op E1.1 represents an exceptional value for riders looking for the cheapest way to get into the urban e-bike scene. its part spec, and honestly, more importantly, that dealer transparency and service that you're gonna get from REI is a big reason why we're gonna have to give the Co-op City E 1.1 4.5 out of 5 goats. The only real thing holding it back here was both its battery range and the limited gear range coming from that 7-speed cassette. I think that will hold back some of the more dedicated cyclists doing the longest commutes. And speaking of dedicated cyclists, if you're still watching this video, I can tell that you're one of them. And I want to hear from you. Let me know down there in the comments what type of video you'd like to see us do next. In addition, if you have any questions about the bikes we talked about today, you can leave those down there in the comments as well. While you're there, please go ahead and subscribe to the 99 Spokes channel if you have not done so already. And remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.